Hey guys, it's Aman
and Christina
from Our Rich Journey. If you have been following our journey, you know that we retired early at age 39 and 41. And we were able to do this because we achieved financial independence. But we just didn't stumble into financial independence. We had to take actionable steps in our lives in order to do this. And so on today's video, we want to share with you the things that we did in order to achieve financial independence and make the choice to retire early.
So our channel is all about making money, saving money, and investing money, all on the road to financial independence. And we share our story on our channel because we want to show you how everyday people can achieve financial independence and retire early.
Now, with over 100 videos on our channel, one of the questions we get all the time is, where do I start my financial independence journey? So recently, Christina and I developed a workbook. It is a step-by-step guide to guide you on your journey towards financial independence. It starts you from the beginning and takes you all the way to the end. And so we want to share a little bit about that workbook right now.
Now, in this workbook, we share the specific holdings in each of our 7 retirement accounts to give you an idea about how to design your retirement accounts. We also show you how to calculate your FIRE number. We provide our top 20 side hustles for making more money. We give you insight on saving money. We include worksheets on tracking your debt via the snowball and avalanche debt payoff method. We talk about emergency funds. We have a minimalist checklist. We have pages on life optimization and goal setting, and we provide tons of sheets to track your expenses, your investments, and your progress towards FIRE. So basically, we designed this workbook to get you from thinking to FIRE to actually achieving FIRE.
And what's amazing is that the workbook is interactive. You can get it in 2 versions, either a Google Sheet or an Excel workbook. So you can go in there and play with the numbers, change your scenarios, change your investments. But in the end, you will have a financial independence plan.
So if you're interested in getting our workbook, we'll leave a link in the description box below. But with that being said, let's get into the 9 things that we did in order to achieve FIRE.
So the first thing, and this is how every FIRE journey starts, is mindset. We adopted a can-do mindset. You see, when you first develop your FIRE number, it is a very large number. And for most people, that can be discouraging just on the surface. But when you believe that you can achieve financial independence, you see that number as a challenge that you can overcome.
So what do you do if you're not a naturally positive person, but you want to adopt a positive mindset for FIRE? Well, our recommendation is you make a list of all the challenges, all the struggles that are facing you. And as you make this list, start thinking of solutions for each obstacle that you face.
And you don't have to come up with these solutions by yourself. There is an entire FIRE community out there that has had those same challenges. People that have had lower incomes, people that have families. Find someone else that has been on this journey and identify how they overcame those same obstacles. Because there is a will and there is a way to get this done.
So the next thing that we did was we created a budget. And in our budget, we looked at all of our expenses and we tracked all of our expenses. But the unique thing that we did with our budget is we created a pay yourself first budget. And with that, I mean that we made sure that we were investing our money first before we started spending our money on discretionary expenses. Now, when we developed our Pay Yourself First budget, we were prioritizing our investments. But not just that, we were prioritizing the investments that would support us in early retirement. Because early retirement and focusing on investments for early retirement are much different than focusing on investments for traditional retirement. And so to develop a Pay Yourself First budget, you want to focus on your investments and tracking your expenses.
Now, people hate doing budgets. I hear people say that all the time. But you know what? If you hate doing budgets, you need to get over it because you cannot achieve financial independence without a budget. It is a part of the planning process. I mean, how do you calculate your FIRE number? How do you determine what your expenses will be in retirement if you don't know what your expenses will be when you're not retired? A budget is very important. And this takes us to the next thing we did. We calculated our FIRE number. Now, this is a very powerful exercise. And even if you don't want to retire early, you should know what your FIRE number is, because it is your freedom number. It is the amount of money that you would need to sustain you for the rest of your life without ever having to work again. And more people should know what that number is.
Now, we've talked about calculating your FIRE number in a lot of our other videos, but to explain it briefly, what you do is you look at your estimated or projected expenses during early retirement, you take that annual amount, and then you multiply it by 25. That number is the amount of money that you would need in a stock portfolio in order to reach FIRE.
Now that's if you're investing in a stock portfolio. This number is even easier to calculate if you're investing in real estate, because what you do is you take your expenses and you look at the income that you're generating from real estate, and as long as those two numbers are the same, you are financially independent. Now, people tend to play games when they calculate their real estate number. They often overestimate how much money they're gonna make in real estate. They don't talk about vacancy rates, they don't take into account maintenance fees, but that is another way to calculate your FIRE number, is with income producing assets like real estate.
So the next thing that we did was we created an incremental FIRE plan. So after you determine your FIRE number, you may think that the number seems way too huge and that you cannot achieve it. But by creating an incremental FIRE plan and tracking that plan, you are making your overall goal more achievable.
And with our plan, we broke it down into 10 stages, and we loved going through each stage because the stages were not so far apart that we were disillusioned by the distance. But when we hit a stage, we celebrated, and we knew that we were able to go through this stage by stage. It was so inspiring to go from 1 all the way to 10, and now we're like above 10. So it is really exciting.
So the next thing that we did after creating our incremental FIRE plan is we began cutting our expenses.
Yeah, this is the action-taking part of every plan. You have to put the plan in action. And for us, it was looking at our budget and identifying where we could save money. And when we looked at cutting our expenses, we started with the biggest ones first. Like our housing, we were able to live rent-free by house hacking or by having our employer pay for our housing. Now that was a huge amount of money that we could save. Next, we look at our transportation. So we got rid of our fancy car and we drove an $800 used minivan. We went through each line item and identified any savings we could make. We often talk about just getting 1% better. And if you can challenge yourself just to save 1% of your budget each and every month, by the end of the year, you will be saving 12%. And that's 12% that you can invest for financial independence.
So we talk about cutting our expenses, and that was a huge way for us to reach FIRE. But there is only so much that you can cut in terms of your expenses. So the next thing that we focused on was making more money. We were government employees, so we didn't make a ton of money, but we knew we had to make more money in order to reach our FIRE goal. So we adopted new side hustles.
I mean, we were side hustling our butt off. You know that we drove for Uber. We were doing retail arbitrage. We were doing Airbnb. Anything that we could get our hands on to sell, we sold, because we knew the power of that money. If we could take that money and invest it as soon as possible, that money would have more time to grow. So on your journey towards FIRE, you may be stuck at one salary, you think, but your salary is not all the money you can make. You have a mind to make thousands and thousands of dollars more. So you have to be creative and think of ways to make more money.
Now, the next thing that we focused on was becoming financially literate. Now, we did this throughout our entire FIRE journey because it is so important to become financially literate, because after you save all this money and after you make all this money, you have to understand what you need to do with this money, and becoming financially literate will help you do that.
Oh, I love the financial literacy part of this, because it is the idea of teaching yourself to do this yourself. I mean, so many people rely on other people when it comes to their finances, but you cannot rely on those people for the rest of your life. It will actually suck you dry because they are charging you high expenses to do that. When we know that in reality, Everyone is capable of doing this. If you can learn how to open a Netflix account, then you can learn how to open a brokerage account. These are things that you will pick up along your financial independence journey, this type of financial literacy.
So anyone can become financially literate by simply taking the time to research and to learn. Read a book, listen to podcasts, watch YouTube channels. Aman and I learned all of our financial literacy ourselves. We were reading books, we were talking to people, we were researching the topic so that when it was time for us to make investments, we knew how we wanted to invest and where we wanted to invest our money.
And this brings us to the next part, which is investing. You cannot achieve financial independence without investing. Your money has to work harder than you. And when you stop working, your money should still be working. You see, that is the key to financial independence, is that you have figured out how to put your money to work. And so you must invest it. And so that's exactly what we did. We took all of the money that we saved, all of the money that we earned, the extra money too, and we started investing that.
Now, with the rates on savings accounts how they are today, there is no way to save your way to FIRE. You really have to invest, but you don't need to invest in the stock market. You can invest in real estate if you want, or if you're not interested in real estate, invest in the stock market or do a combination of both. Really understand what you want to invest in, how you want to invest in it, and how it is going to produce the income that you need in order to reach FIRE.
Now, I just want to mention one thing. In our workbook, we actually share all of the investments that we made in order to achieve FIRE. We talk about the real estate that we invest in and the return that we got. We also share each individual index fund and stock that we bought in order to get to this point. We also share the return. Now, in our workbook, we are showing you that just as an illustration. Please don't go out and copy it because everyone's circumstance is different, but I did want to share that. And the last thing that we did, and we have been doing this our entire life, is we surround ourselves with positive people, people that will encourage us on this journey.
Now, we understand that you can't completely choose all of the people that interact with you or that are involved in your life. For example, you may have family members that are negative people naturally, but just understand that negative people are typically coming from a place of insecurity. And once you understand that, also understand that this is your journey, and your journey is not going to be dictated by someone else's insecurities.
So those were the 9 things that we did in order to achieve financial independence and retire early. I hope that we have inspired you by sharing our things. And if there are things that you are doing right now in your life that may inspire other people, please leave them in the comments section below. And as usual, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and join the journey.